can go on and instantly create a profile pretending to be a teenage boy, girl, or someone else, and then go on and start interacting with other teens and children while pretending to be a teen, right? So what will happen? The starts to have conversations. They get into grooming, and it can take a number of different paths, right? In this particular case, this is one where this child was essentially threatened, right? A predator found them online, struck up a relationship, and said, basically, I'm gonna come hurt your family if you don't send me nude pictures of yourself. And when you've got a young developing mind, right? These aren't full-grown adults. You and I might deal with this differently if we were presented with the situation. But this child, in his mind, the safe way to deal with this and protect his family was to send the nude photo. And he did. And now it's out there. It's out on the internet. And all these parents thought they were doing was letting their children play a game. They looked into it. And this game is full of sexual predators looking to exploit children.
As a parent, it's horrifying to think about. I mean, absolutely horrifying, especially a game that does give the appearance of being kid-friendly and child-friendly. Before we move on a little bit, I want to read to you, we got a statement from Roblox. I don't know if you had heard from them or if you had spoken to them. Their statement reads, "We are deeply troubled by any incident that endangers our users. While we cannot comment on claims raised in litigation, protecting children is a top priority, which is why our policies are purposely stricter than those found on many other platforms. We recently announced our plans to require facial age checks for all users accessing chat features, making us the first online gaming or communications platform to do so." They then go on to say that they limit chat for younger users and don't allow the sharing of external images. I guess, first off, your response to that comment, the response that they gave to us on the story.
You know, I look at this and, you got to read, right? They're not going to come out and say we've been bad actors, but you notice, look, we recently instituted this program where we can use AI to detect ages. Well, is this new technology? Did they just recently get this technology? No, this technology has existed, right? They didn't start using it till we started suing them. Right? And then what happens, right? We're attorneys. We get bad raps all the time. Everyone thinks it's all about money and attorneys, these big lawsuits. But I tell you, that's my job, right? My job as an attorney is to make it more expensive for Roblox to do things the wrong way. Right? And up until this time, they've made money. It's been more profitable to operate in an unsafe manner, to expose children to harm. That's been profitable for them. It hasn't been until we started filing these lawsuits and making them look at the prospect of paying for all the harm that they've caused that they now go, wait, we need to be a little safer. This is getting to be expensive, right? These are companies. They're not human beings. They don't have feelings. They're all about profits, right? If you want a company to change its course of action, you need to hit them where it hurts in the pocketbook, and that's what we're doing.
The safeguards that they say that they have in place here, the facial recognition, the limiting of the chats, things like that, I feel like that almost downplays at least how crafty and creative horrible people can be. And in a situation like this, how these pedophiles or these potential, these people that are looking to harm these children can get creative around it. Do you feel like even the changes that they've made are still open for abuse or still open for ways that they can get around it, and then people like your clients see the real harm in it?
Certainly, right. And almost every safety measure, there's going to be some kind of workaround, right? But the issue is, right, it's been so lax, right? That, it's been so lax. Putting this facial recognition in is great, right? I mean, it's a great step because it's going to eliminate a lot of what's going on. Here's another thing. Link accounts to emails. Right? These were all anonymous accounts, right? So, one bad actor can get his account suspended and just open another one. You can't stop these people because the accounts were somewhat anonymous for people. Like there's usernames. So there's a lot of safety measures they could have put into play that they didn't. And you're right. You're right. There's never going to be anything that ends up being 100% foolproof. But, right, you've got to take reasonable steps, and these steps are a movement in the right direction. So, I hesitate to criticize the company for finally doing what they should have done, but The one thing we don't want to go is don't say, "Look at me now, forget what I did before," right? And that's where we're at. There's been like I can't tell you. We represent probably. I didn't check the number today. It's close to 1,000 kids who've been at our firm who've been exploited on this platform. 20 to 30 of them at least have had physical in-person contact, like some rapes, kidnappings by pedophiles that found them on this platform. Okay? I can promise you there are very, very, very few parents who realized that putting their kid on this platform exposed them to a potential kidnapping and rape. You would not expect that as a parent. Roblox knew this happened. It's not like the police don't inform them. Roblox knew this happened numerous times, right? Once you know this is happening, once you know kids are being exploited, why would you not warn parents? Why would you not tell parents they need to take steps, right? If your kid is playing this game, watch. It's not a completely safe place. And if you look at the representations, the way Roblox has presented this game to a parent, no parent who read what Roblox put out there would think this was any danger to their kid whatsoever.
A lot of us, when we were talking about this story, didn't have a large familiarity with Roblox, and then you look at the advertisements and things like that, and it is very clear that it is geared towards kids, and specifically toward kids of a certain age here. Do you think the parents potentially underestimate the power that is in that, which is a gaming platform that is geared toward kids, very clearly geared toward kids, but allows anybody to be accessing it?
Yes, 100%. Like I was a parent, my kid played Roblox years ago. My son's 16 now, and he's kind of aged out of it a little bit. I thought it was digital Legos, right? That's basically what I thought, right?
Yeah,
the kids run around. Yeah. So I'm thinking this is perfectly safe. This is a social media platform. No, there is no game here. This is social media platform where people build worlds to interact. So what you're putting your kid on, they're not a game. Sometimes these people will get together for a common goal. But this is a social media platform where at one point in time, they had 54 million people playing at the same time. Okay? Your kid is out there interacting with all manner of society on this platform. It's like them out running around Facebook or any other social media platform. The problem you've got, right, is it's a great idea except for pedophiles, bad actors. They're going to flock to something like that, right? And if it's kind of like this, right? If my son, I went back there and my son was 10 years old, I look back and Pornhub's up on the screen. Whoa, what's going on, right? I know my son shouldn't be there. As an adult, you look back through Roblox, it leads you to believe it's innocent, leads you to believe you don't have to look further. I was unfamiliar with this platform when we started suing it. So we say, hey, let's open an account in our office in the conference room. Within 2 minutes, I was a 12-year-old girl, right? Just said, hey, what's my age? What's your sex? Picked an avatar. Then go in and go, hey, how would we find vulnerable people? Like, where would you look if you were doing this? And there's a room for sad and depressed children. All right, so we entered the room and typed in, who wants a hug? Right? And all of a sudden, some of the creepiest interactions you can imagine started happening. And I was like, holy crap, this is a cesspool.
I mean, yeah, as a parent, that freaks me out. I'm just going to be totally honest in that. That is terrifying to think of. Because again, the game very clearly looks to be a child's game. What would you say to the people that are saying, well, parents should be more careful, parents should be paying more attention, as opposed to changes need to be made? Kind of what would you say to those folks?
Look, parents need to be paying attention to the kids, right? What you do is reasonable for the situation, right? So yes, a parent who is looking to be safe goes online, researches the platform, and says, what am I letting my kid do? And if you rely on what you saw from Roblox, you do your research and you say, this is incredibly safe. Look at this, right? And that's the thing. You're never going to be able to police your children 100% of the time. But if Roblox told you that, hey, that screen that shows you a 12-year-old girl, that might actually be a 54-year-old man, right? You as a parent would be a little bit more sort of diligent in looking at that interaction. For instance, my son played Fortnite, right? I would hear adults talk to him during this game, and I would go back there, and I'm saying he's in there, and these are just adults talking about where the plane's landing and where the parachute's going and what guns you're picking up, but because I heard an adult now, voice, it gave me the cue as a parent. I needed to see what was going on. I looked at it and I said, "Is this some guy playing the game?" Right? Roblox takes that cue away from the parent and allows that adult to look like a kid, so you as a parent, you don't look deeper.
I only have a couple more questions for you, and then we'll let you go here. I guess the first one is with the families that you have been communicating with, families that you are working with, the families that are using you all to kind of be in this against Roblox here. What has this done to them? When in like the instance with us around here, I mean, you have that child who sent an illicit photo to somebody. What has this done to the families? What has it done to the families with the lack of safeguards, and then ultimately when these things happen?
It's these things are devastating, and it depends really on what's happened in each situation. But kids don't realize, like we all went through these phases where your hormones start firing, you're not thinking straight. If like I can remember, right, and I say this almost facetiously, when I came, if Zelda had asked me for a naked picture at some point in time, I might have sent it. Right? When I was 12 or 13, right? It's different these days. You're not playing Zelda and Mario, but they get involved in these games. And if you think a 12 or 13-year-old girl on the other side is interested in you as a kid, get that photo that's fake because they've got it from someone else, and you respond, you're thinking, hey, this is just kind of natural, right? But what happens is once they realize, oh crap, I've made a mistake, this photo is out there. It's in Russia. It's in China. It's never coming back, right? And once that realization sets in that they've made a mistake that's going to follow them for the rest of their lives, the children start to fall apart. Families start to worry. We got situations where children have been kidnapped and kept in sheds. Like those kind of things. The damages are inconceivable. But even in all of these, these kids realize they've made mistakes, and I'm 52, right? When I was 18, Google wasn't a thing, right? There was never a thought that anyone would be able to put my name into Google and figure out everything I'd ever done bad, right? Now you know this, right? Everything on social media, it's going to come back to haunt you. If you go for a job interview, they're Googling your name. They're finding anything. If you've been arrested, it's out there. Well, as we move on, 20 years from now, we may not be looking at names. We may just, hey, I got to put this person's picture in. And then Google will tell me everything we need to know about this person. Well, suddenly, right, you're never going to Google and find someone's compromising child porn pics. As the internet advances and searches advance, there are real risks that these pictures come back linked to these people for the rest of eternity anytime anyone starts looking at something. And as a 23-year-old professional, that's going to worry you a lot more than as a 12-year-old student.
Yeah, the last thing I have for you is just related to what's next in a lot of these. I'm guessing there's going to be back and forth with Roblox, but yeah, what is next for this lawsuit in particular?
Okay, so right now we got about 50-some lawsuits that have been filed across the United States by different law firms. I think our law firms filed somewhere 20 to 30 of them. I think we're 28 or so right now. Because they're in all these different areas, you run a risk that different judges will make different rulings on the same issue. So we have petitioned in a panel of judges, what's called the JPML. The hearing is December 4th to have this turned into what's called a multi-district litigation, where all of these cases get centralized in front of one judge, and a team of attorneys pushes these claims together collectively. That hearing's December 4th in Texas, and once that hearing's done, we'll know whether these are being consolidated, which I think will happen, or whether they all have to fly individually.
You answered all my questions here. Is there anything we didn't touch on that we should have?
No, there's a lot of stuff. Like, I could talk about this for 2 hours if you go into all the stuff that's gone wrong, but we've hit all the major points. It's just, look, be wary. If your child is on the internet, do not trust the platform your child is on to tell you about its own dangers. Do your research. Make sure you as a parent are looking into what your child is doing, because Roblox and sites like that will mislead you if you're relying on them to tell you about the safety.
And of course, if you want to learn more about this story or see more about the lawsuit, you can head to our website right now, cleveland19.com. We have our news continuing over on CBS for the next hour and 20 minutes or so, so we will see you all over there. For now, I'm Jeff Slauson with 19 News. Have a great night. Much more to come, both on air and online.